Hi guys and girls, Dave back with another video, and today I'm here with this, and it's the Sim X-2020 Valkyrie gaming PC, tailor-made specifically for Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020. It's been built in collaboration with MSI, and it's been sent over by the guys at Wired2Fire. So, it costs £1,920. Let's open it up and see what you get for your money. Okay, so I think we'll start with the small box and opening it up. You get a whole bunch of cables from the power supply, the modular cables. We've got some screws for the AIO. There's some SATA cables here, a Velcro cable tie, the license for Windows 10 Home as well. So one thing I've noticed immediately that's missing is the kettle lead, so I'm going to have to go and find one of them in a box. But just some feedback for the guys at Wired2Fire not to forget that in the future, that would be good. And let's open up the big box and find out what you get inside. Okay, so here we are, the actual PC system itself. Now, as we know, it's powered by MSI, so we'll take a quick look at the case while we're here. We might as well start with that. And it's the Msi Creator 400M. It has this thick bonded tempered glass side panel here with a fair bit of tint. It's actually two glass panels that have been bonded together. Running along the bottom, we have a full power supply shroud, 5.25 inch drive bay up here. And that's pretty much it for the case. There's obviously lots of sound deadening material. We've got some on the front here, we've got some in the roof, and there's some on the rear panel as well. So it does keep the PC nice and quiet. The motherboard itself is the MSI Z490A Pro Gaming motherboard. The CPU of choice is the Intel Core i7-10700K. Cooling that is the MSI Mag Core Liquid 240R CPU cooler, and that's what we can see here. Plenty of RGB on the cooler itself, the block up here, as well as the two 120mm fans. The graphics card is a beast, and it's the MSI Ventus 3X OC RTX 3080, and that's 10 gigs of GDR6X memory. The SSD of choice is a Wired2Fire 1TB NVMe PCIe SSD, and that's mounted just up here in the just above the graphics card. And that NVMe SSD is actually just a 1TB Western Digital SN550. Power supply is a Colink Enclave 700 watt gold rated power supply. Now we all know MSI have just released their own brand of power supplies, so I'm sure in the not too distant future that will be replaced with one of MSI's power supplies. It comes with 32 gigs of DDR4 3000 MHz dual channel, so that's two 16 gig modules, and in this case they're just T-Force DIMMs, no RGB or anything like that. It comes pre-installed with a copy of Windows 10 Home Edition 64-bit with the license in the box like we saw earlier. And it comes with a gaming keyboard and gaming mouse, and they are brought to you by MSI as well, and that's the Vigor GK30 and Clutch GM11. Now, I didn't get those with the sample, but you guys will get that. Just wanted to mention it. So that's pretty much it for the inside of the case. Now we can see it's all been cable managed like pretty nicely. It just looks nice and neat. I'm going to flip it over now, so we can have a look at the rear panel as well and just see what work they've done here under the hood. Here again, guys and girls, I've just flipped the side panel. It's a complete solid side panel, but it's got about probably 3mm of sound deadening material here covering the whole thing. So yeah, that's one of the selling points there for sure. Here we are taking a look at the rear panel. It's not the cleanest of cable management, but it absolutely does the job. It's like more than satisfactory for sure. You know, everything's where it needs to be. It's all been bundled with cable ties, so you can tell the guys over at Wired2Fire know what they're doing. They've paid a fair bit of attention to the cable management. And yeah, obviously there's some spare SATA connectors and things like that in the bottom here should you choose to add hard drives into the included bay down here. Again, there's that Colink power supply. It's like not branded, but I'm sure that'll get replaced, like I say, with an MSI one in the future. Some 2.5 inch drive mounts here and things like that as well. So there's plenty of upgradability here for sure. But I just wanted to show you the side panel, what it looks like, and to be honest, you know, it gets a thumbs up here from the guys over at Wired2Fire as well. They've done a perfectly acceptable job here.
Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 gameplay. As this PC is designed to run Flight Simulator 2020, it wouldn't be right if we didn't run that first and foremost. I decided to run a selection of landing challenges which put you in different aircraft with different systems in various locations throughout the world. I also tried to capture different angles and zoom levels as well as drastically different scenery and weather complexities to see how the sim held up overall. Knowing full well just how demanding the sim is on gaming systems, I was pleased to see the Valkyrie held its own in every single landing attempt, with densely populated landing challenges unsurprisingly giving the Valkyrie the hardest time. Tested using my 1080p monitor capable of 165Hz, lowest FPS I encountered was 40 FPS, an average of 60 FPS and highs of up to 70 FPS were noted, even at locations with plenty of vegetation which typically pushes GPU to its limits, highlighting the horsepower the RTX 3080 and overclocked i7-10700K can provide. Battlefield 5 gameplay. Performance metrics were set to Ultra at 1080p once again, as well as DirectX 12, Ray Tracing, DXR and HDR all enabled. DLSS was greyed out here, suggesting the DLSS render resolution is probably 1080p when gaming at 4K and above. Overall, game performance here is excellent. The Valkyrie is more than capable of holding its ground here, even with the huge amount of rendering options going on behind the scenes. DirectX 12, DXR, HDR, as well as Ray Tracing are all working their magic to give an impressive viewing experience, which, when you look for it, adds more levels of detail to the overall gaming experience. I noted more than 100 plus FPS while gaming on Battlefield 5 at all times too, which at 1080p on the RTX 3080 is to be expected, but gives a seriously impressive performance which makes having a more than 60 FPS monitor almost a necessity for gaming today. Apex Legends gameplay. Pushing a solid 165 FPS all day long was a surprise turnout for Apex Legends, but after doing some digging, it turns out that Apex doesn't use DirectX 12, Ray Tracing or any other Nvidia feature the RTX cards implement. Still, being able to hold the max refresh rate of a 165Hz monitor is nothing to turn your nose up at all. Call of Duty Modern Warfare gameplay. Another AAA title we're seeing today. Modern Warfare is generally regarded on PC as needing some decent hardware to push consistently high FPS, and again, the Valkyrie delivers in abundance. Again, turning all the sliders up all the way and setting the frame rate limiter to unlimited saw a very high FPS overall, starting at around 165 FPS and getting as high as 200 FPS in the warehouse level you can see on the screen. I'd recommend setting a custom resolution so it doesn't go above what your monitor is capable of. Free-to-play Warzone fares just as well. With a much larger map and view distance, I was pleased to see it hover around 160 FPS once again, giving me all the performance I could ever need to play as smoothly as possible.
So overall, the Sim X-2020 Valkyrie gets a big thumbs up from me for its gaming performance. I've also included links to the PC Mark and 3D Mark testing down in the description below, so please check out those scores and let us know how your PC compares. Granted, it's not as accurate as, say, a Steam survey, but it'll help us provide relevant content for you to enjoy in the future. So, talking performance, again mentioning that the Sim X-2020 Valkyrie has been put together for maximum Flight Sim 2020 performance, and it truly delivers in that regard. Delivering smooth, solid performance consistently throughout, with zero hiccups at all, especially when it comes to lag spikes when loading scenery and details which flight sims are prone to do. This highlights the included 1TB NVMe SSD is working really well here too. It's super satisfying to see it chew through all other game tests I threw at it. Remember Battlefield 5, Apex Legends and Modern Warfare in this round of testing. And there isn't a single game I don't think would struggle in this PC, except maybe for Cyberpunk 2077, which may make it sweat just a tiny little bit. But again, it is a relatively new title to market at the time of this review, and performance is expected to improve with driver and game updates, as is the norm. Usually there is a trade-off for such good performance, and that's in the noise department. However, the Valkyrie remains cool and quiet throughout, even prolonged gaming sessions. Don't misunderstand quiet for silent though. You can hear it when it's on the desk next to you, but place it on the floor or hidden behind your sim setup and you'd never know it was there. Aesthetically, the Sim X-2020 Valkyrie is clean and tidy with minimal RGB on offer for those that like that, though I think it has just the right amount. The Msi Creator 400M case is, in my opinion, an underrated case. It's well thought out and has plenty of options and upgradability. It's also marketed as a workstation case, making it a very good choice for a flight simulator PC, as the case itself. As we saw earlier, it's stuffed full of sound dampening material in the front, top and rear panels, as well as the bonded glass panels which aid in keeping it as quiet as possible, even while under a heavy load, which is something to consider when you are simming. The last thing you want is loud fans distracting you, removing more of the realism factor. While we're still talking about the case, I didn't mention earlier, but the front panel opens up to reveal a large filter on the front. Behind this is a pair of included 140mm fans which add additional airflow into the radiator mounted in the front of the case. Well thought out from the Wired2Fire team. Talking I/O, the rear panel has two USB 3.2 Gen 1 ports, two USB 2s, one USB 3.2 Gen 2 and one Type-C USB 3.2 Gen 2 connector. DisplayPort and HDMI make an appearance for the iGPU connections, 7.1 channel audio and a 2.5 gigabit Ethernet connector. Dragging Ethernet out of the gigabit stone age. Front I/O brings us another USB Type-C connector, two USB 3.2s, two USB 2.0s, headphone and microphone jacks, power and hard drive indicator LEDs, a reset button, LED on-off and power buttons. Finally, the RTX 3080 offers 3 DisplayPorts and a single HDMI 2.1 connector, again highlighting the options of multi-monitor setups as well as large 4/8K displays and ultra-wide options, all things a simmer would likely consider. Swiftly moving on to the price. I mentioned at the start of the video that the Sim X-2020 Valkyrie comes in at £1,920, making it a seriously good price to performance offering. Taking into account, at the time of filming, the worldwide availability of RTX cards and therefore price points, it's hard to price up a system as a comparison, especially when you add scalpers into the fray. But I was able to price up a similar system for around the same price using as similar parts as possible. Also considering that you get the service of Wired2Fire building the system for you, which I might add is done to a high standard and a standard 24-month parts enabled warranty, the asking price becomes all the better, meaning that the Sim X-2020 Valkyrie gets the player Editor's Choice and Value Award. Well, that's it from me finally. I've been Dave from Player TV. Thank you for watching. A lot of you aren't subscribed, so if you could do me a huge favour and hit that button down there and the bell so you get a notification every single time we release a new video. I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.